Around the world, people clock in to filthy jobs to make our lives cleaner, safer, or just to earn a living.
Let's see what we got.
In Minnesota, a team of heavy-duty cleaners tackles a house that's filthy beyond belief.
It is alive.
In India, street dentists pull teeth on the sidewalk.
I wash my equipment in hot water. It's tap water. So what?
In upstate New York, a scientist devotes his life to ridding the world of parasites.
This is the fun part. Here's one simple rule. Anytime you have to stick your arm inside another animal, you probably will be seen as taboo.
And in Guatemala City, men and women risk life and limb trawling a ravine of trash.
A lot of people say they would never step foot in the ravine.
They're all nasty jobs, but someone has to do them.
Come on, boss!
In Minneapolis, when a house needs to be cleaned, really cleaned, you call Mark Donor at Do All Services.
Technical term for what we're doing is preservation and maintenance. It could be anything from taking debris out of a house, cleaning it top to bottom, or just rekeying a door. We got the call from the city to do an abatement at this house. My first impression of walking into this house is this is a great job for Dirty Dave.
It's a big one. There's feces. You're gonna have to get suited up and everything.
Field Supervisor Dirty Dave Tariquez is their do-anything guy. Dave and his partner in filth, Pistol Pete Majurley, are sent on reconnaissance.
The house isn't livable, and they need this house cleaned up.
And cleaning this house will test the strongest stomach.
Look at her. Oh my God.
Minneapolis, Minnesota is a bustling commercial hub on the Mississippi. Caught in the grip of the economic recession, but not everyone is suffering.
Business is great. It's a great time to work right now for this company. It's busy, busy, busy.
Our bread and butter with our work is the foreclosure market and getting them ready for resale. With the way the economy is, we can get anywhere from 25 properties to 130 in a month.
Each job has its challenges. They never know what to expect until they step inside.
All right, let's see what we got. Okay, well.
Smelling the cat urine, the dog urine, the body odor, the feces, the rotten food.
You don't get used to it either, by the way.
I'd say the guy liked dogs, whoever it was.
This house is one of the worst they've seen.
As I see dirty houses a lot, I don't see the amount of dog hair, animal hair that I've seen at this house.
Hey!
What surprises me most, more so than the filth, is the waste.
36, 37, that's my arm length.
People leave behind entire dresser sets. They leave behind cupboards, pantries, refrigerators completely full of perfectly good food.
Stove's gonna go.
This is a house that's had years of neglect.
Fridge is gonna go.
It's a house that's had years of accumulation of dust and hair and grease and smoke and filth.
Oh yeah, Pete, that looks good. How does that smell? That looks real good. Let's take a look. Well. Oh. This is pretty bad.
It's hard to believe that anyone could live like this.
You can see somebody who, in spite of living in one of the richest countries and one of the richest times in history, was still living in squalor.
The former owner may have had squalor syndrome. Symptoms include self-neglect, apathy, and compulsive hoarding of trash. The condition can be caused by mental health disorders such as schizophrenia or depression.
I do have a weak stomach, but to me, it's a paycheck. It's got to feed the kids and do anything for that, and whatever I got to do, I'm going to do, no matter if it's going to make me throw up or not.
Awesome job, it's fun.
Since school, Dave's worked various trades. He started this job 3 years ago.
Dave is an example of someone who has to put his head down and do a job that nobody else wants to do, but that he does extremely well, that lets him build a life and lets him raise a family and lets him have the American dream.
All right, fellas, I know you haven't seen the basement yet, so let's take a quick look, see what we have to work with. We got the laundry room here. It's full of cat feces. Take a look at the bathroom.
Oh, no.
We're gonna let Dirty Dave take this.
Oh, man. Oh, yeah. This is pretty nasty, isn't it? You know, Pete, what do you think? Can you picture me cuddling up with my girlfriend right here? My kids?
I mean, when you see a bed just got mushrooms growing on it, that's just, yeah, not good. I can't believe that the guy was sleeping here with all this black mold. Living organisms all throughout the wall. This is horrible.
All right, do it, guys.
While the jacuzzi gets thrown out,
Oh, we're good.
Robbie's busy cleaning up the cat feces. As gross as it looks, at least he knows what he's dealing with. Because the next challenge is a big, scary unknown.
A basement chest freezer is always the wild card of any house we go into. It's never good.
In any trash out, a mysterious freezer strikes fear in the heart of the most hardened cleaner. Because if there's rotting meat inside,
that smell will stay in the house for a very long time. And then we're gonna be suffering throughout the whole day of this stench of this freezer.
All right, fellas, it's time for the moment of truth. Let's take a look inside this freezer and see what we got. Ready? Yes! Nothing. Does it smell bad? Oh, yeah. Oh.
This is difficult work. This is backbreaking work. And also, psychologically, it's difficult work because we are kind of at the focal point of a crossroads in American history, and we just happen to be part of a growth industry that is able to take advantage of the foreclosure situation and the economic crisis that we have right now. That's our luck. I mean, we're earning a living off the bad luck of a lot of other people.
You come into a house and there's lots of toys, that's when it really sucks. Most of us here got kids. I don't want to ever tell my kids, pack up your stuff, we gotta leave. It makes us all work that much harder so it doesn't happen to us.
in a job like this, a sense of humor is as important as a protective suit.
We get dirty, and then we get to talk about it afterwards and laugh and tell jokes and stories about how dirty and gross we were. That's part of the fun. It brings out the boyish aspect in all of us.
I'm ready. All right, let's do this.
Ready?
Time to face the ultimate evil.
How's it look?
Oh, my God.
Oh, you got your arm all over that.
Oh, God. This is the nastiest toilet I have ever seen.
I can't wait to do this toilet because I can't wait to see how Dirty Dave is going to react. I am disgusted by it on a personal, I think, intrinsic, biological, I know this is bad for me level, but I really can't wait to see how Dave is going to take this.
I'm gonna have to get in there and get my face inches away from that toilet bowl.
Come on, man, let's get this thing. Let's get that thing up.
When Dave's unscrewing that toilet, I'm kind of giving him the pep talk that I might if he was trying to bench press 300 pounds. Come on, buddy, you gotta get this up. You gotta move this. Come on, man, you gotta go.
Dave's gag reflex is out of control.
That's a profound physical reaction that he has to master to go in and do that work, which makes him a little heroic.
Oh, my God, I'm sticking my hands into a
The biggest fear with me in the toilet is once I disconnect it and I pick it up, it's all gonna come out the bottom on me.
Oh my God, Pete.
Or I slip and it all comes on me.
When I'm carrying this upstairs, I can hear stuff sloshing around in the tank.
Come on, buddy.
I can see Dave in front of me heaving and bucking. But all I can think about is I just don't want to drop my end.
Look at it. Oh my God. Look at it. Hi, get her apart.
I think that what makes this job taboo is the fact that we're willing and almost happy to stick our arms up to the elbow in somebody else's poop and joke about it.
Let's get it up. So the poop doesn't fall out.
The fact that we're swimming in feces, possible biohazards, rotten garbage, I mean, stuff that society since time immemorial has tried to separate and remove from their lives as far as it could. We voluntarily dive in headfirst to that stuff.
Come on, boss. That's so bad. I cannot believe I just did that. My kids should be proud. Oh, yeah. You did it for the kids, man.
We adapted and we overcame. That's what we're all about, and we got the job done. So, job well done, everybody.
Job well done to you, Dirty Dave.
Now, they just have to go back in and clean the house.
We put a lot of love into these houses. You gotta love them to make them nice and clean. We all live in a backyard where there's foreclosed homes, and we are trying to build our community back up. So that's why our company is doing a great job for the community and for the state of Minnesota.
In just one day, Dave, Pete, and the crew transform this hellhole into somebody's dream home.
People tell me all the time that this job is disgusting. I just think it's a part of life, and that's just what it is. I always say, give me the dirtiest, nastiest house you got, because I want to be the guy that's going to show everybody that I can physically make this house look ready for you to move in. That's what I do.
Varanasi, India's holy city. Devotees purify themselves at the river Ganges, while a lone man sits quietly at his own morning ritual. Cleaning his teeth with the traditional datun stick is dentist Ramji Sao.
I am better known as Baba Ji. Wherever you hear my name, it will be Baba Ji. Go to Baba Ji, the dentist in Gadaulia, because I do good work, great work. If there's a problem, I explain it and I fix it.
But Baba Ji is a dentist with a difference. His practice takes place on the street, where patients experience a unique dental adventure. With India's population at almost 1.2 billion, there's a lot of teeth to take care of. In the US, there's one dentist per 1,600 people, but in India, there's fewer than one per 10,000, which is where street dentists like Baba Ji come in. His clinic is set up on the sidewalk. Baiva Lal Gupta is a regular customer. Today, he's getting some dentures.
I had 3 teeth left in the top. When I showed them to Babaji, he said to remove the 3 and get new ones. So I got an injection from Babaji and got all 3 teeth removed. Today when I came back, he applied tooth adhesive and fixed the false teeth. My whole upper row of dentures, Babaji has made it fit completely.
It will be a bit hard to eat and drink straight away, but after a while, it'll be fine. Drink lukewarm water and gargle with it.
At 75, Babaji's been practicing for more than 50 years with no formal qualifications.
I enjoy the profession of doctor. I'm a doctor for poor people.
Technically, street dentists aren't doctors.
There's no university degree in street dentistry, as you can imagine.
Nor do they work in the Dark Ages.
They are clearly a profession. They're using not folk remedies, but they're using biomedical materials. Whether or not they're using them properly or under hygienic conditions is a much different question.
At Babaji's practice, sterilization is a hasty affair.
I wash my equipment in hot water. It's tap water, so what? I put disinfectant in it and wash my hands with it. It's government water, and it's normally clean.
After wiping his hands with a rag, the dentist's fingers find the next mouth.
Street dentists in India don't use gloves or mouth masks routinely, so there's no real personal protection. As far as sterilization is concerned, they mostly rely on household disinfectants. I doubt if this practice is very effective at all in terms of infection control.
My father used to do this work. I learned it all under my father. I only went to school until year 2, but I'm an expert doctor.
These folks are often inheriting their position from their father. They've been a mainstay in a community for a long time, and people trust them.
In a day, I receive 30 to 50 patients.
With the help of his son, Ganesh, and full-time assistant Manoj, they see more than 100 patients before sundown. A sight unthinkable to many Westerners.
We in the West like to think about doctors' offices as inner sanctums or very private, confidential spaces. This isn't obviously the case when you're having your teeth extracted on a busy street in India. There is no divide, really, between public and private.
Not everyone in India goes to street dentists. Across the road from Babaji, there's a practice that caters to the more affluent. Westerners would find these surroundings familiar. But most of Babaji's patients can't afford a modern clinic.
Babaji will charge me a mere 20 rupees for an injection and extracting a tooth. It's 200 rupees at the doctor's. So if it's the same work for less money, then why should I go to the doctor?
The kid is in real pain. There's a cavity in her tooth. It has become rotten. I will repair it, and it'll be fine.
The patients come to them when they're in a lot of pain, or they can no longer eat because they've lost so many teeth.
Every day, Babaji's team performs 10 or more extractions.
When someone's tooth is hurting, then there'll be a wound. You find out where when you hit it like this. If the root of the tooth has become very loose, then I extract it without using any injections or medicine. And it does not create any problem for the patient. Otherwise, if the root is strongly attached, then I have to give an injection. And only after anesthesia will I extract the tooth. There's a drugstore opposite our stall, and the medicine comes from there. I don't allow pain. There should be no pain during extraction. It comes out perfectly.
Indian street dentist Baba Ji claims a perfect track record.
I have the strength to do a good job because of the blessings of my mother, the mother goddess Kali. No one has ever been infected. My patients are happy with me.
Imagine if you did something day in and day out consistently, you would get pretty good at it. And I think in the case of street dentists, some of them do really have a fair amount of technical skill. I think it's rare that you would find someone who has only economic motivations. My sense is that people in such a position would quickly go out of business. In part, what drives the success of a street dentist is his reputation.
People told me that Baba is good at what he does, so I came here. The first time he treated me, he did a good job, so I kept coming back to him.
Though Baba Ji has many satisfied customers, qualified practitioners have serious concerns about street dentistry.
I believe the practice should be phased out, but there must be a good substitute. There must be a public health system that is a viable alternative to the poorest of India. Until that happens, street dentistry is a reality of life there.
I do it for their welfare. My intention is that with my hands, I want to help as many poor people as I can. It makes me feel good, and it gives me great satisfaction.
Professor Dwight Bowman, defender of human life and sworn enemy of the parasite. While these agents of disease still roam free, he will not rest.
It's hard to believe that I spent a good portion of my life doing this.
For Dwight, keeping America safe is a very dirty business. Onondaga Wastewater Treatment Plant in upstate New York. Millions of gallons of sewage and drain water converge here daily. For Dwight Bowman, professor of parasitology at Cornell University, sewage plants contain vital clues to the nation's health.
I've probably been to 500 or 600 sewage treatment plants. I've gone all over the world. It's very interesting. It really is very interesting. Most people haven't the foggiest idea what happens when they flush their toilet.
At the plant, sewage is treated, disinfected, and pumped out to a nearby lake. This dried waste remains.
This is the final process. They put it in these big centrifuges that spin it really fast. The best way I can describe it is those things for drying lettuce or a salad. It's basically turned into a cake-like material. Around the nation it's used on forest soils, land reclamation, various underground crops, fertilizer for pastures.
For Dwight, it's also a litmus test. If there are deadly parasites in the human food chain, the evidence will show up here. Many parasitic worms live in the guts of animals, where they lay their eggs and are passed out of the body in feces. Contact can cause diseases like trichinosis, ascariasis, and toxocariasis. diseases most of us have never heard of, because parasitologists like Dwight help eradicate them, saving millions of lives.
We think it's a very important role, and we work hard at it. I really think what we do ultimately is going to make a difference in the lives of people, everyday people.
In the lab, Dwight and his assistant test the waste sample they collected from the sewage works.
When we bring the samples back, we use various methods of sieving them to get out particulates. We wash them with soap, basically, and then we're ultimately left with a minimal amount of stuff that we have to look at that will contain the eggs if they're present.
Those eggs may belong to the dreaded Ascaris roundworm. Up to 1 in 6 of the world's population has Ascaris, and it can kill. Professor Dwight Bowman searches for killer parasites common in the developing world.
In all fairness to these people, I do want to point out that it was only 100 years ago these worms were very, very common in the United States of America. The secret is the fact that we use flush toilets, and then that moves it away, and so then somebody treats it in a plant, and it doesn't come back to bother you again. In much of the world, that is not the case. Actually, in a huge portion of the world, that is not the case. And the feces stays right close to the backyard.
As Dwight and his team know, studying parasites is not for the faint-hearted.
You guys ready to play?
In his role as teacher, Professor Bowman helps create the next generation of parasite hunters. In the necropsy room, he and his students work into the night, searching for worm eggs in pig intestines.
We will first be dividing them into the small intestine and the large intestine. And then you'll sit here and you will squeeze it through your hands and get the entire contents into this container, okay? This is the fun part, because this is when you get to splatter people with pig feces. Well, don't get me, huh? I'm not supposed to get squirted. I'm the boss. Fortunately, I don't have a great sense of smell, so I smell everything we do. It's not like I don't smell it, but I just deal with it. If somebody came up with a better way, I'd buy it, okay? Right? We all would, if we had an easy way to do this, and we just haven't found it yet. This is the way we have.
It's a given that any human has the capacity to feel and experience disgust. Disgust is largely going to center on the bodily secretions and excretions.
One thing that we do know about disgust is that we can adapt to those things that might make other people disgusted. Someone like Dr. Bowman, who has to routinely engage in activities that we might perceive as disgusting, has probably gotten over his disgust response to his work a long time ago.
Professor Bowman's students are also used to a life of entrails.
It is disgusting, yeah, but I don't know, it's all fun and good. I guess we all have our own place in the world, and mine is with poop.
It's good to laugh every so often. It definitely makes the work a little bit easier.
There's nothing in my lab that I would ask anyone to do that I haven't done myself. They know they're going to see this stuff, or worse, when they're out there dealing with people or animals, and so it is important to them.
How's that, guys? Wasn't that fun? What's the appeal? I like the worms. I find their biology fascinating. The diseases are unbelievably important. They're critical in veterinary medicine. They are critical in human medicine.
As a university professor, Dwight has the respect of his peers. But that's no guarantee of social success.
Most people haven't the foggiest idea that what we do involves so much work with dead animals, huge quantities of fecal matter, sewage. And when they find out, they move away from you.
Whenever you're dealing with something like both the genitals and the waste products of an animal, these are cues that you might actually have on your hands or on your body, a disease. So there's a good reason why we have a natural reaction to avoid people who have been dirtied that way. This sort of contact is not the sort of contact we like to hear about or talk about in polite society.
You don't invite us to a genteel dinner party because we are not afraid to talk about unbelievably disgusting things while we're eating spaghetti.
Meanwhile, the results from the sewage treatment samples are in.
We've looked now at the entire sediment from this sample from the cake that we collected, and I saw no eggs of any parasites in it. We have been very successful in removing these pathogens from the people of our country. I know part of what I do is taboo for many people. They just can't believe you do this.
But the professor's commitment knows no bounds.
I am willing to do this stuff 24 hours a day, and I really have to pursue this career. I've worked very, very hard. I'm willing to go where the worms are. I think is the best way to say it.
Guatemala City is the capital of the Guatemalan Republic, home to 1.2 million people, and Central America's largest, most toxic landfill. In a teeming underworld hidden from outsiders, dump divers trawl for recyclables. But 1,600 feet below the dump, in this river, fed by avalanches of garbage, others mine the stream bed bare-handed. In a living hell of black water. At the Guatemala City dump, the 2,000 official garbage pickers, or guajeros, must have a permit. Here, at least the city tries to regulate. But the ravine below is lawless.
Solo arena y arena y arena.
Down here, Erica Rosales and her brother Jorge work at their own risk.
I was 14 years old when my dad passed away. I was the oldest, so I had to work to help my mother.
Scrap metal washed into the stream is their daily bread.
Nails, bronze, aluminum, sometimes spoons and forks.
Sometimes we find pieces of gold, small ones. Other times we get small earrings or pieces of necklaces, and that is what we look for.
Jewelry is a popular find.
Look at this ring. When you find a ring like this, you get happy because you know you will get 200 or 300 quetzals for it.
In Guatemala, the minimum daily wage is only $7. That ring may be worth a week's wages for Jorge.
For every benefit, there are costs. He's getting an advantage, potentially making a lot of money, but at the same time, he's taking a risk, possibly catching a disease.
Everything comes mixed up. This is why the water is black. It's everything that the entire city dumps.
This toxic soup is fed by the city's sewers and by untreated chemical waste.
Around 11 a.m. or noon, they begin to throw chemicals. Your eyes sting. That is why sometimes you can see the vapor, the smoke.
Imagine nail polish remover and bleach and Drano, and just make a big soup out of all of that. If you calculate the chemical toxicity, it would not be a pretty picture.
Amilcar de Leon works for Safe Passage, an organization that helps get trash miners and their children out of the ravine.
We have seen cases of people who've managed to get away from the garbage, either as a result of their own efforts or of assistance by some of the institutions like Safe Passage, so that they have better opportunities to look for a job, sustain their families, and escape the situation of poverty.
He's all too familiar with their plight.
The only protection they have is a cap to shield them from the sunshine and nothing else. The situation is so extraordinary. It shocks everyone who comes here.
Added to their poverty is the taboo that comes with their job.
A lot of people say, "Oh, how dirty." Even here in the community where we live, a lot of people say they would never, never step foot in the ravine.
There's a sense that if your work puts you in contact with those substances, you are yourself somehow defiled. And to keep myself from being tainted by your defilement, I'm gonna stigmatize you, and I'm gonna put you in a category of somewhat outside of the acceptable. That's an old human impulse.
I'm 31 years old, and I've been doing this for 12 years. I have 3 children. I try to get them a head start somehow, give them an education. I can't give them riches, but I try to give them the basics.
There are other jobs in Guatemala City, so why do they choose to work here?
In the first place, I don't have an education, and jobs these days request at least 3rd grade. And if I don't even have money for my ride, how am I going to look for work?
And though it seems strange, they say there's a sense of freedom in the ravine.
I've worked other jobs. I worked at a textile factory, but I didn't like it. I prefer the mine because here we don't have a boss.
Jorge's been mining the river for almost 20 years. For him, the money makes it worthwhile.
I've tried to work other jobs, but I don't earn the same I earn here. The only thing is, it's dangerous. That's all. To work and earn money with my own sweat. That's what my mom taught me. Not to steal.
Despite being poor, they are proud people.
Well, I don't think my job is dirty. For me, a dirty job would be someone who takes advantage of us poor people by taking our money away. We are proud of doing this job that we have. This job we're doing is dignified.